Greetings. I am Michael Kahn, author, revolutionary, activist, presidential candidate, and deliverer. We're in a time like none other. We stand at the time of the battle between good and evil. I have been a man of God. I turned away, and I will not turn back to Christianity believing as I did before, but I certainly feel like I've been led by God. I will say that. I'm very righteous. Do I believe all the Bible? No. I have great contentions with much of it. Am I God? Of course not. I'm not his son either. But I'm a man who wants to deliver the righteous people from an evil ends that have been planned for them by the elite globalists and their workers. The Freemasonry have basically planned our demise, as have the elite, the powerful, and rich. They manipulate world events to work for them in their overbearing rule and their hatred of humanity, which they have manifest. And yes, they worship Satan. He is very real. Anyway, he rules this world, and I stand against him. I am a revolutionary. I stand against the powers, the authorities, because the authorities follow an evil ruling God. Not the one I serve. And I don't serve anybody. I represent him. I work for righteousness. And those people who are righteous will stand with me. I will fight to the end. Why? Because their problem is my problem. It isn't about being on the winning side for me. Yes, of course I want to win. I don't want to lose because the stakes are too high. But it isn't that I'm going with God or with the side of righteous, with that side or with that people because we're going to win. No, I fight for righteousness. If you want to stand with me because I stand for righteousness and you stand for righteousness, good. Stand with me and we'll fight together. I don't stand to win. Well, yes, I stand to win, but I don't stand for the winning side to benefit for myself. I've served the people for 30 plus years. I don't work for money. I work for the people. I work for righteousness and to establish a right kind of civilization, a righteous kind that has nothing but goodness and righteousness to it. I have outlined it in my book, Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth, in the conclusion. After a manual describing the evils of this nation and the world, and how evil has overcome us so far. But now is the time to fight for our lives, our futures, and our souls. And the well-being of all future generations is at stake over the next few years. The powers that be have planned a world population goal of 500 million. That is why we had the Twin Towers go down, to enable slaughter and genocide of the Arabs, and also for Homeland Security Patriot Act to be put in place, and much more. They have basically prepared for our doom. But we have been informed to know what the truth is. If you've been researching and reading, not believing the BS put all over the CIA-infested internet and television and newspapers everywhere, the CIA controls our minds. And I know how they do that? By basically controlling what goes in our eyes and ears. The information, the media, the news media has been infiltrated by the CIA. And the rest of the media is controlled by the bankers who have imposed wrong values, money, new cars, chariots, castles, big houses and mansions, materialism, and otherworldly things, sexual gratification. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. It's very true. And people lust for foods and inebriations and sex and entertainment and opiated to just get pleasures and relieve yourselves from the pain that you've been put into by an evil God. So there's an evil God and a good God, and you understand, I hope. The God of this world that rules over the worldliness is Satan. He calls himself God. And I believe he wrote a good part of the Bible, if not all of it. But there are truisms in the Bible. And one of them is the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Another is, look up on if you want to in your Bibles, Daniel chapter 12, verses 1 to 3. I know you all see me. I'm not hidden under a rock. The media has been trying to hide me. But the media has also been showing me, the anti-establishment has been showing the works I have through internet emails and other avenues, through cell phones, mobile phones, recordings. You've seen me or read of me. And I'm here to say I will fight for the people. I am not fearful. I cannot be bought. We see the Republicans and Democrats. For decade after decade, they've lied to you. They have not come up with good solutions to any problems. They cause problems. They can't come to agreements on how to do anything right and good. The op-eds in the newspapers have some good solutions. But the politicians can't think of any. The ones in power can't think of anything. Can't come to agreement. There's always an excuse that they cannot do something good for the people. They can always do good for the rich people, though. They manage that, haven't they? Managed to make billions and trillions for the rich. They did manage that, but they can't make hundreds for the poor. Okay, yes. We have corporate welfare, but everybody complains about the pennies given to the poor. They've brainwashed people. They've terribly deceived the people who manipulated us. My book, Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth, shows how. Now, this is it. I'm at peace with the Christians. I'm at peace with Muslims and even with some Jews. I'm born Jewish myself, was a Christian for many years, and I've read the Quran twice, and I have Muslim acquaintances. I'm not unaware. There are many good people out there. Most people are good. The rich people, I'm not talking about people with 1 or 2 million or 3 million. The rich people are mostly bought and most serve Satan. Not all, but the very rich, yeah, they're bought. They're evil. The time is now. Now, I'm not going to hide anything. You ask any question me, I will answer it. Now, I know they know what I'm thinking. Here it is. You elect me, and Trump promised that he was going to clean up the swamp. Anybody should know a rich man like him is a liar. He said he was a self-made man. That's a lie. His dad gave him $500 million, $500 million. And the rest he built with manipulations, tax fraud, schemes, wheeling and dealing on a phone. He never worked a hard day in his life. He spent it all wheeling and dealing. He made an empire. And he bankrupted casinos and hotels. And the bankers, Rothschild Bank with Ross, he basically was given $100 million to bail him out. And he has no debt to the bankers. Think again. And Biden's no better. And we know what he did in Ukraine. He's corrupt. And Harris, who basically put blacks in jail and wouldn't let a man who's on death row to be executed. There's evidence he was innocent, and she would not even let it be heard. She's not for the people. And Pence is a terrible governor, just like Trump. You have nothing to gain from Democrats or Republicans. You see for decade after decade their lies. They've always failed you. Always. You always vote for the lesser of two evils. And Trump says against the establishment. What a lot of baloney. That's why he gave the bank investors $6 trillion. That's why he closed down he said in the debate that he closed the economy supposedly to save lives. Yeah, he kept the big businesses open and the small businesses closed. I guess COVID only attacks small businesses, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, people, I've done my research. It is time to stand for ourselves against the powers. And putting me in a position of authority to make moves for the people will enable us to have a chance of victory and to win this war. It'll be possible. I fight for us. Join me as we try to create a world that is free of oppression, exploitation, deception, manipulation, and death, and is full of freedom, truth, righteousness, fairness, and true equality. And like I said, I've outlined the new kind of civilization in the last part of Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth. We stand together or we fall separated. They had planned a world fascist police state. That's why we have Homeland Security. That's why we have FEMA camps. Who knows? But we were made for such a time as this to sacrificially stand and have courage to fight the powers that be. Purpose is the greatest thing a person can have. Take a stand to save humanity. You'll go to sleep well. And you'll have something to live for. And if we're victorious, if you diligently work to make this happen as I have, you will forever be grateful to yourself. And if you don't, you will never forgive yourself when you see what happens to us all. So I ask you to stand with me as I stand with you. I fight for you as well as for myself. Your problem is my problem. Let us stand for righteousness and do the right thing, not that which is out just for our benefit, just for me, mine, and ours, mine, but something for ours, for us all to have something together, a survivalist and basically a new way of life, a new page, a new beginning for humanity. I ask you to stand by me in this election. Michael Kahn, Kahn. My book, Angry, Loud, and Clear, Truth Speaks for Itself. It's all over the internet, but you can get it on Amazon for a lousy $3. I stand for the people. I've lived all my life working hard, a 70, 80-hour week now, at least 45 hours a week or so for the last 30 years. 45,000 hours volunteer work, helping the elderly, the homeless, and the mentally ill. I've developed welfare reform policy for Governor Whitman through Solutions to End Poverty Soon of Bergen County and of New Jersey. I founded Time to Care Ministries. I taught Bible, mentored mentally ill adults, and found jobs and housing for people. I founded Alliance Against Homelessness, later known as Bridgehaven Housing for homeless and mentally ill people. I helped senior citizens in nursing homes and medical adult daycare. I lectured graduate students in social work for 15 years. I've been a community organizer and lobbyist for the Affordable Housing Network of New Jersey. I was a legislative aide for State Senator Byron Bayer, who marched with Martin Luther King Jr. in his youth. My hero is Malcolm X. I'm well read, hundreds of books, self-educated. I don't have a degree. I haven't even finished 1 year in college. But I read hundreds of books, and like I said, I was hired with pay to lecture to graduate students because they recognize intelligence and free thinking by a professor who hired me every year, saying it was the highlight of all the students' education career every time I came. It is time to take a stand against inequality and injustice. I consider myself a black man, as white as my skin may be. I live in an all-black community. I've been in prison with black people. I know the culture. I love the culture of the black people. I consider myself a black man. At the same time, I realize that we're all brothers. We're all in the same boat together. And I'm putting aside any contempt I've had for religious people or for people who I perceived as being oppressive. I had no love for oppressors. But I understand that people have not been following their hearts all the time and have allowed evil to prosper just to get by themselves, and they don't agree with it, and it hurts them. It grieves them, their hearts to see it happening among the people they work with and work for. And I ask you, to be ready to take a stand against those evil people that work with you. And I'm talking now mostly to the police at this point. Because I don't believe all police are evil. There's obvious, and you know this police, there's systemic racism in the police forces of America. We have the highest incarceration rate in the world, by far. But unless police do there is systemic racism. The drug busts, equal percent of all races do drugs. 3 times as many blacks arrested for drugs as whites. Clearly a racist systemic in the legal in the injustice system. But not all police guards are bad. But you don't stand up for righteousness like you should out of fear and want to be accepted and don't want to be fired. I understand that a little bit more now. Do I like it? No, it is, to me, that is contemptible. It is time for you to stand for righteousness. I'm going to count there be more good cops than bad cops. Now, why don't you stand with the brothers you know to be righteous and think of ways to rid yourselves of those bad apples, and a good portion of bad apples. They aren't just 1 or 2. There's a good portion of bad apples. But I'm just hoping that there's a good enough portion of good ones to rid yourselves of those bad apples, so we can actually say that police are a force for good, in truth and in knowledge. Because my book reflects my knowledge of the police system. I'm well aware of it. I'm also aware that many people join the police wanting to do good. Now here's your chance to be real men of courage and stand up against the forces of rottenness within you. You haven't done that. You police haven't done that yet. And you military men. I've come against the military much. Not in my books, but I've come against the military much. You know why. You've heard me, and you know what I had to say about it. Many of you are across the seas. And I think you have, look, your military brass, they're pretty much bought. The way the ones up where high the generals are pretty much bought. They're not going to do what's right. The general amount, and most of them. It may be up to you to disobey your so-called superior, your supervisors. I won't say superiors, your supervisors. And to do what's right. Don't kill the Arabs. Don't kill the Africans. Don't kill the South Americans. You're not sent in there to protect them or to help them. Are you fooled into thinking that our military is sent to do good for an evil government? Well, our government is clearly evil. You're sent there to kill innocent peoples. That is your job, according to the politicians, who are all lying evil people. They're Freemasons. They worship Lucifer. If you have good to you military men, stand up and do what's right, despite what the supervisors say. Do what it takes to save America. We're counting on you, military, to do what's right. And I know a lot of you joined trying to be heroes and hoping to be heroes. And then many of you see the evil that's being done through you. It's time to truly be courageous warriors for good and righteousness. And to stand against authority and to do what's right. Even if it means getting your hands a little dirty. And you know what I'm saying. I think you're getting it clear. We need to make a stand. The rich and the powerful are all pretty evil. The very rich are very evil. They're liars. They're deceivers. They're manipulators. And they are bribing and doing every dirty little trick to keep their power. It is time to put them in their place and to rise up, people, and resist and overcome. At this time, I embrace the people of God, and I say, let us work together. Michael Kahn, author of Exposing the Money Machine, The Untold Nature of Christianity, and Angry, Loud, and Clear Truth, saying good night. It is now Tuesday evening, my time, 9:32. Have a good night.